Okay. Justin? What else have you found?
Well, I was focusing on questions 1 and 2.
Okay.
So I just kind of looked at the legislative background, and basically the U visa was created in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
The Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act.
Uh-huh.
It was signed by President Clinton, and it was the regulations for it were modified 3 times. One time in 2002, the second time in 2007, and the third time in 2008. Those were regulation modifications from the Department of Homeland Security.
Okay.
And the act was reauthorized twice, one time in 2003, one time in 2005. Oh, sorry, the 2008, also in 2008. Yeah,
We're authorized twice or 3 times?
three times.
So it's an annual, or it's a?
It's like a kind of a 3-year thing. Yeah.
So it's 2000.
2003, 2005, 2008. It was reauthorized.
Okay. Louise?
And you asked about the legislative history. So
yeah.
It was introduced by Representative Christopher Smith, who's a Republican from New Jersey. He introduced the original bill in 1999.
Mm-hmm.
It passed about 6 months later in 2000. And it went through the House and the Senate like pretty streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't even keep track of the votes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We split.
And about every year after that, they held hearings to kind of see the progress. And they held hearings in 2001, 2002, and
okay, that tells me I'm gonna hold you right there. If they've held hearings and reauthorized, this is a fairly steady legislative crank. Okay, not every law has this particular pattern. Okay, that tells me there's at least one staffer on the Senate side and one staffer on the House side who's a raging expert in this, whose almost only job is keeping track of this thing. So that person can answer 99% of our questions. Okay, that's an absolute essential find for us. Okay, if you understand your legislative procedure, you can't do all of these things at this pace without having some sort of staffer attached to you. I would assume there's at least one. There's maybe a couple of others on personal staff. In Congress, there are committees, and there are members of Congress. Okay, and there are 2 different kinds of staff. You could be the staff of a member of Congress. Okay, and there you're much more of a generalist, much more sort of politically. You're probably on the campaign or coming out of school. You're a political science major. You're somewhat of a, like I say, a generalist. Although if your member is been reelected for his 27th term, or 26th term, and you've been around all the time, you're not a generalist anymore. Okay, but generally speaking, you'll find staffers for personal staff to be bright, accessible, and a very limited knowledge. But they're bright and accessible, and you can. They're looking to make a name for themselves, and you tell them what you're doing and what you're working on. They catch fire, and they'll go find some answers for it. They could be some of your best. You can. They don't know they've been hired by staff, hired as staff, but as long as you don't tell them, they can be very helpful. They can go find out great information for you.
How would we approach finding that staffer in each
That's an excellent
House and Senate?
That's an excellent question. I want to know where Chris Smith is. Is he still in Congress? Somebody find that out? All right. Well, he's got a staffer who
It seems to me just from
if he's still in Congress,
just from kind of skimming through the hearings, he's been like kind of like the main guy.
Yeah. So Chris Smith sounds like the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So interview with Chris Smith. Somebody needs an interview with Chris Smith. That was good. That was good research, Justin. You want to call him? Okay.
Okay.
All right. Call him and say, listen, I noticed your story. And, I did see, the fact that it's been read out there a bunch of times, a bunch of hearings. Can you help me, help me get access to those hearings and what's going on and who are the staffers? Oh my gosh. Praise God. I knew praying was a good idea. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow. Oh my God. That's so wonderful. So find out the hearings. Find out.
Well, I actually have transcripts of the hearing.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Then keep going.
Yeah,
Nice.
but the hearings were kind of so one thing is that they didn't actually start issuing the visas. The final regulations were made in like 2007.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they got sued over that.
Yeah.
Because for 7 years they didn't issue any.
Mm-hmm.
So these hearings were going on for like 7 years, and it seemed that they were going like pretty slow. Basically, what they were kind of arguing about was they have all these countries and they label them tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 3 being like the worst, like they have the worst like human trafficking, violation records.
Uh-huh.
And they were just kind of going like back and forth on that. Oh, should Vietnam be a tier 2 or should it be a tier 3?
Mm-hmm.
And there were like a couple organizations, International Justice Mission.
Mm-hmm.
They were there for like every hearing. And they
International Justice Mission.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they
So we wanted to find out. Want to find the dude who was there. One person.
Yeah, the president was there, Gary Haugen.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like from the hearings, like he was kind of like more of an inside guy actually,
Mm-hmm.
and he's had personal experience with
Mm-hmm.
like getting these victims like out of freeing them from their situations.
Yeah. And what was this guy's name again?
Gary Haugen, Haugea. And in the hearing in 2000,
I'm sorry. What was the name of his organization?
International Justice Mission.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And in 2002, they kind of made a focus where they wanted to. The name of the hearing was called "Foreign Government Complicity in Human Trafficking,"
Mm-hmm.
and he said that like with that focus, they were really like hitting the nail on the head, because he says this is a problem. Human trafficking is a problem that can be addressed directly through government like cracking down. All that they have to do is create laws, and he said basically if they send traffickers to jail and if they discipline police officers that are allowing it to happen, then it will drastically reduce. What's his reasoning? So
These would be police officers in other countries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although they were also talking about a couple things that came up with, for example, like Nevada, like prostitution is legal. So like, does that undermine the credibility of this? And they also found out that people were being trafficked into American Samoa. So there were some American territories that were also had these kind of issues.
So illegal immigrants were being trafficked into Nevada
Not to
for
Nevada.
prostitution.
They were on that case. They were just talking about the law, but because I guess prostitution is legal in
That's
Nevada.
right.
But they were being trafficked into American Samoa.
Into American Samoa
to these like
for
garment
prostitution.
factories. They were actually working in like garment factories.
Garment factories.
In those factories, they were also like sexually abused.
Okay. Okay. One question to ask is, what? So human trafficking was a big area of congressional focus. Was that the only time that the hearings were on human trafficking? What other subjects did the hearings particularly? I know that another area of focus was actually getting the regulations in place so that you can start to issue these visas, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great.
We have
Nice.
a different visa also for trafficking. It's a T visa.
It's a T visa. Oh, and
Yeah.
what, some portion of these 10,000 were T visas and some
No, it's
portion
a
were-
totally different visa.
It's a totally different
Yeah.
visa. So is there a
But it's just
is there a-
underused.
is there a quota on that?
Yeah, it's in the Department of Homeland Security report to Congress.
Mhm.
So the figure on that is, if you want to, let's see, T visa, the visas available are 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to look at 2009, there were
Mhm.
313.
Mm-hmm.
2008, 243. 2007, 287.
243. I'm sorry. So TVs. In 2008 there were 243.
Mm-hmm.
2009 there were 57. What?
No, 2009, 313.
313.
2008, 243.
Yep. And
2007, 287.
You don't have a 2010 number yet?
No, it wasn't in this report.
Okay.
And this report was released recently in
Okay.
June. So in the report, it just said it's underused.
Underused. Okay.
Yeah, it was not. They wanted to use.
Okay. One of the things that we want to ask Mr. Smith is what was the original purpose of the legislation? Is it gang? Is it human trafficking? Is it drugs? You know, Washington runs on anecdotes. Everybody know what an anecdote is? Virtually every large piece of legislation that has ever passed, we're going to pass a mine safety bill possibly at the end of this. Okay, why are we going to pass a mine safety bill this year? Because 27 miners died in West Virginia in a very bad mining incident.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's just how it goes. Almost every major piece of legislation that you'll find 1, 2, or 3 anecdotes that put names and faces on an issue that help the Congress focus on the subject and try to. Patriot Act, 9/11. Right? Okay. There's an anecdote. So the question is, I'm curious about what anecdote Chris Smith latched onto and used and articulated as the reason for, the thing passed by voice vote. So there was something that everyone clearly understood. Was it crime? Was it gang prosecuting gangs? Was it human trafficking? We'd just be curious to know. Okay? Good. You guys are doing great so far. Very interesting. Now, once again, I am not headed anywhere yet. Okay? I'm just, like I'm just using a whiteboard. I'm just kind of writing what I think are interesting things now that you're telling me, and you're kind of looking, in the whole process, we'll just kind of go through this and figure out, and then you kind of focus as to what might be happening. And I'm just, I'll try to add just a different view on every fact that we're looking at. Is that because you really don't know where these things go, and that's where the reporter editor discussion produces. You know what? I think we should dig for another day. Okay.